A reading from the Gospel of Mark. Again, he began to teach beside the sea. Such a very large crowd gathered around him that he had to get into a boat on the sea and sat there while the whole crowd was beside the sea on the land. He began to teach them many things in parables, and in his teaching he said to them, "Listen, a sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seed fell on the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Other seed fell on rocky ground, where it did not have much soil, and it sprang up quickly, since it had no depth of soil. And when the sun rose, it was scorched. And since it had no root, it withered away. Other seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no grain. Other seed fell into good soil and brought forth grain, growing up and increasing and yielding 30 and 60 and 100-fold. And he said, 'Let anyone with ears to hear listen.' When he was alone, those who were around him, along with the 12, asked him about his parables. And he said to them, 'To you has been given the secret of the kingdom of God. But for those outside, everything comes in parables, in order that they may indeed look but not perceive, and may indeed listen but not understand, so that they may not turn again and be forgiven.' And he said to them, 'Do you not understand this parable? Then how will you understand all the parables? The sower sows the word. These are the ones on the path where the word is sown. When they hear, Satan immediately comes and takes away the word that is sown in them. And these are the ones sown on rocky ground. When they hear the word, they immediately receive it with joy. But they have no root and endure only for a while. Then, when trouble or persecution comes on account of the word, immediately they fall away. And others are those sown among the thorns. These are the ones who hear the word, but the cares of the world and the lure of wealth and the desire for other things come in and choke the word, and it yields nothing. And these are the ones sown on the good soil. They hear the word and accept it and bear fruit, 30 and 60 and 100-fold. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Good morning. May the peace of Christ be with you. Where do I sign to become a member here? Such a fascinating group and wonderful worship. And just to be here already, I already feel the Spirit, and I am blessed already. I feel that we could already go home. Because you're already blessed. The music, the fantastic singing, the ways in which we are welcomed, the prayer of the pastor, the community participation. See, I love when we have an open mic for concerns, because it's so many church people are so concerned when they give the microphone to the people because they don't know what they're going to speak. And sometimes they will go for a long time. But this is the way that we do church. We listen to each other, right? We care for each other. We pray for each other. And so I am so much already blessed by you all. Thank you. Pastor Tiffany, thank you for the invitation. Megan and Lesley-Ann and all of you for this opportunity. And I was deeply moved when my teacher, my colleague, my friend, my sage, Troy, introduced me, because Troy was fundamental to my education. I repute him one of the most knowledgeable and wise people in the field of rituals anywhere in the world. Troy is the one that knows way more than I can imagine. And it was him who taught me to do this. And it was his kindness and his patience and his expansiveness and his love that gave me space to try to make errors, to learn. And so for me, to be with Troy is always a gift. And so thank you, Troy, for all that you have, all the love that you've given to me. So I'm excited that I am here while the exhibition is here, because this is wonderful. And I know you're going through the seeds growing theme, and that's why I chose the text for this morning, the parable of the sower. And I was planning to only talk about seeds, but when I started to feel and read and touch and look for seeds, I had first to wrestle and deal with the notion of soil, which is the place where the seeds should thrive. And this parable is not only about the seeds, and not only about the soil. It is not only about the sower, but the three of them. And so there's a deeper relationality between them, and one cannot live without the other. The seeds depend on the soil to die and resurrect. The soil depends on the seeds to continue to be alive, and the sower desperately depends on the seeds and the soil to survive. So let us look at the soil first, and then after that I think the spiritual connections can come. Topsoil. See, I have a difficult time with the ways in which people in the United States use the word soil, dirt. You know, for my foreign ears, it rings so wrong, because, again, my foreign ears understand dirt with uncleanliness or with filthiness, and soil is never dirt. Dirt is never related to soil. Soil, topsoil, are like water, one of the most important things for us to survive. Topsoil is a fragile composition of several elements. You know, to have a good topsoil, you have to have earthworms, fungi, bacteria, protozoa, arthropods, and even mammals. The composition of these elements, collected for many years, is what created a rich topsoil that has the condition to give the possibility of life to the seed. In fact, it takes 500 years for a topsoil to become ready. Everything in nature is slow. It's so opposite to us, to New York, to cities. It's so opposite. However, we are losing topsoil at alarming rates right now. Among the human causes for this loss are industrial farming, destroying forests, and what we are specialists in New York, concrete. Covering the soil with concrete and building roads and edifices. Topsoil has become one of the most important things in the world. No wonder big corporations and so-called rich philanthropists like Bill Gates are buying a vast amount of lands in the United States, throughout the Americas, Asia, Africa, Because topsoil is fundamental not only for the seeds, but also for democracy and any minimal notion of what we might call common good. Oh, you would love to read the biography of Wangari Maathai, the first African woman to receive the Nobel Prize, understood the power of topsoil in its fullness. Maathai played an active part in the struggle for democracy in Kenya, and in 1977, she started a grassroots movement aimed at countering the loss of topsoil, the deforestation that was threatening the means of subsistence of agricultural population. The campaign encouraged women to plant trees in their local environments and to think ecologically, so seeds went everywhere. The so-called Green Belt movement spread to other African countries and contributed to planting over 30 million trees. Maathai's mobilizations of African women was not limited in its vision for sustainable development. She saw tree planting and taking care of topsoil as a broader perspective which included democracy, women's rights, and international solidarity. However, what have we done? We have turned topsoil into business and a commodity for profit. Water is now on Wall Street. Profit, commodity. And we have received lies from big corporations who have told us that technology and agribusiness were the only way out of hunger for our 8 billion plus world population. We believed in the green revolution. We thought that sustainable development was the way out. We bought into the idea that GMOs were the future of our food and that efficient machinery were going to give us food security. Lies! All lies! The intrusion of agribusiness in the fields is actually threatening food security all around the world. Industrialized agriculture uses massive amount of land with all of its resources to produce very little food for people to eat. A highly inefficient system that's producing a massive collapse in many ecological systems. The monoculture of the industrialized agriculture of mostly corn and soy, which goes mostly to cattle and fuel, is depleting topsoil. And the engine is simple, my friends. We deplete biodiversity of any biome, plant and harvest one monoculture, time and again, time and again, time and again. The soil starts to lose its power. Weeds come in, which shows that the soil is fighting back. Because weeds that we put poison in it are actual signs of both the death of the soil and the struggle to survive. When we use pesticides to kill weeds in our yards, but this pesticide start to destroy the rest of the soil's life, and in no time the soil is dead. Any comparison with our own lives are not easy, not difficult to make. If you don't have good soil, you can't survive. That's why the church has to be a good soil, because that's our way to survive. Church is not only a choice out of many, out of a coffee and a newspaper or church. No, church is a way to survive. It is the topsoil of my heart. But pesticides are everywhere. Pesticides kill the pollinators like the bees. and eliminate all the biodiversity that is necessary for a topsoil to continue. Have you heard of Vandana Shiva? You should read her. She tells us about this Indian woman who fights for seeds and topsoil. She tells us that most of the agribusiness corporations that are coming to the field have roots in Hitler's Germany, when they were creating gases to kill people. The aim was to make chemicals to kill people back then. But after the war, they said, hey, why should we stop making these chemicals? Let us continue the killing. Now let's kill pests and create fertilizers. What kind of fertilizer do you have in your heart? There are many fertilizers that are produced in the same factories that made explosives and ammunition for Hitler's wars. The same ones is the ones that are going into our backyards, into our food that comes into our bodies. And the company's process are all the same. The rhetoric might change, but the death aim is the same. Because we don't consider the soil as a living being, it doesn't matter. The same way that we don't consider the poor. And if they die, it doesn't matter. It's the same process, same eyes, same materiality, same pesticides. 500 years it takes for a soil to be rich. But we are losing it at 17 times that rate because of modern industrial agriculture. The heavy machinery that comes into the soil compresses the soil and kills the wealth of all the microorganisms that are hidden to our naked eye. The intense cultivation of the soil continues to degrade the soil. Some people are saying that we are getting into a looming soil crisis. What is happening to our soil? 40% of the world's topsoil is already gone. And in this rate, we are going to lose everything not long from now. Besides, topsoil carries more dioxide than any forest and decreases climate disasters. 3 times more carbons. But why am I saying all that? Because we have the relationship about the earth. If you haven't paid attention, when I'm talking about topsoil, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about something else. And there's a war against the topsoil. As the same war against the poor, the same war against the women, the same war against the children, the same war against us. But we lost that contact. We lost that contact with the soil. The big leap happened when we lost contact with the earth. And we start thinking that the earth is something out there. When we say, oh, I'm going to go to nature. As if we are not nature. As if this is a landscape. We forgot that tending the earth is about tending ourselves. We forgot that caring for the earth is caring for each other. And instead of caring for each other, we leave each other into our own. The heavy machinery now, it's for us, is like you are on your own. You have to take care of yourself, of the seeds that you might get, and if you don't have seeds, I'm sorry, what can I do? If your soil is losing its powers, what can I do? I'm the sower of my own soil, isn't it? I have my soil. I'll take care of my own soil. But there's no such a thing. The soil needs hundreds of microorganisms, as we need other people to take care of us. Now let's talk about the seeds. if we understand that we are soil, it will be easier for us to understand what it is, the seeds. And seeds love good soil, just like we love our comfy beds or our safe neighborhoods. They like other sustainable forms of farming, of caring. And here's Vandana Shiva that talking about biodiversity.
There is such an intense debate about who feeds the world. There is one myth that without the Green Revolution, India wouldn't have been fed. But the Green Revolution was only rice and wheat, and it transformed biodiverse systems with very high productivity into monocultures of rice, monocultures of wheat pumped with high doses of chemicals, 10 times more water. Today, our water has disappeared, our soils are polluted, a cancer train leaves Punjab because the toxics and pesticides have created a cancer epidemic. But because we've had an arrogance and a racism, assuming that only globally traded commodities are food, and a racism that treats everything dark as inferior, we've driven out healthy food, we've driven out biodiversity, and we've replaced it with monocultures and industrial foods and industrial agriculture. And it's an inefficient system. It's going to leave us with neither bread nor freedom. Whereas cooperative arrangements between plants and humans, and within the plant system, this beautiful pearl minute, giving a support to a beautiful being, this is where the food of the world comes from. And the future food must all be like this, a garden of abundance, rather than a green desert full of poisons.
Whomever controls the seeds controls life. Seeds are the forms of joys that come in many colors and shapes. Aren't they wonders? These living organisms are always giving themselves to us endlessly. The earth works in cycles, and these cycles are about seeds finding good topsoil and sprouting in thousands of fruits. Then the seeds of these fruits, the tree leaves, other vegetations, fungi, find a way to spread its seeds around so that they will find good soil, so they can give itself again and again and again, in plenty, in abundance, always. The same way that we evolve, the seeds evolve. Farmers evolve with the seeds to bring a variety of plants that are so vast. We move along with the seeds' evolution. However, we live in a world that doesn't like diversity. We always like the same. And that is also a part, not only politics, but also of the nature, the ways in which we talk about nature, what we do with the natural world. We don't like diversity here, we don't like diversity there either. Do you know that 70% of the world's food is generated only from 12 plants and 5 animal species? That's the only ones we allowed them to live. Everybody else we do not allow. Only 4% of 252, 300,000 knows edible plant species, or about 150 to 200 are used by humans. 200 out of 300,000. And only 3, rice, maize, and wheat, contribute to 60% of the calories and proteins obtained by humans from plants. See, for the farmer, says Vandana Shiva, the seed is not merely the source of future plants and food. It is a vehicle through which culture and history can be preserved and spread to future generations. It is our diversity also that will evolve and bless each other and will depend the future of other generations. There is an imperative demand that we care for the seeds. Go against the GMOs because they are for patented. They're patented and just there for profit. There is a demand that we run away from Monsanto and Bayern and Syngenta and all this agribusiness and take care of our small farmers. Because they are alone in the struggle against big corporations who have governments in their hands. And I always remember Oscar Romero. This is a fight that feels like, who am I to do this, right? But I remember Oscar Romero, the bishop of El Salvador, who once said this: they tried to kill us, but they forgot that we are seeds. Ooh. Seeds that will sprout here and find another place there and find another place there, and we'll keep on giving, keeping on transformation. And Jesus is God's seeds for us. And we are God's seeds for one another. God's earth is the soil. God's seeds are in the soil. God is the sower. So it is a mirroring of this triune God that we have to do, because we are the sowers too. We are the seeds too, and we are the soil too. All we need is to be present right now. You know, the seeds don't worry about tomorrow, right? What Jesus said about the birds could have been said also about the seeds. See, the seeds, when they're sprouted, they say, oh, what am I going to do now? Where am I going to go? What if I don't find good soil? What am I going to do? Oh, something's sprouting. Oh, what am I going to do now? There's no future, because there is knowledge inside of those seeds that are already given. That is, the past and the future is already in their DNA. So they know that they have only to be fully right here, because the rest is the process. See? Don't worry about the future. Live fully here and live the future in God's hands. And God will find good soil. But we are the ones who have to live fully here. If we fully here, the good soil will be here. And we will be able to sprout and come into 100,000 more. We do have this knowledge within us, my friends. We have to fight the separatedness. So next time you look to a seed and there are seeds for you to take there, when you take the seed, you say, this is another form of myself. This is me in the form of a seed. We have to overcome the sin of separatedness that have been infused to us. We only talk about people. We talk about humans only. Humans. All the time we talk about humans. I want us to talk about other beings. I want us to talk about trees and vegetations and microbes and butterflies and rivers. Mary Oliver said this: every good thought has a river in it. Ha! If your faith doesn't have a seed in it, if your spirituality does not know what the topsoil is, if your life with God does not know what the sower does, you have to start right now and change and be transformed. So I will start here this morning, and you have to continue it during the week, okay? I'm going to start with the parable now. When we, the sowers, went out to sow, when we, the soil, prepared the way for the seeds to nest, when we, the seeds, went out to give ourselves away, the gospel telling us who we are, the deepest sense of ourselves. May the triune God, the sower, the soil, and the seed, bless us all. Amen.